Welcome to our YouTube video series focused on union issues from a legal perspective. My name is Christopher Neufeld of Neufeld Legal. And in this particular video, we're going to be providing some commentary with respect to the growing challenges facing unions and unionized employees that they're going to be seeing as we enter into 2022 and beyond. Because in addition to the standard challenges that unions are faced with respect to constantly negotiating to get better arrangements with the ownership, as well as dealing with grievances, the union's role has become that much greater due to the COVID-19 pandemic on a number of fronts. Directly related to the COVID-19 pandemic is the issue of vaccine mandates and the obligatory nature that governments are pushing to have companies, especially unionized companies, mandate and implement requirements of all vaccinations amongst the unionized employees. This is going to pose a serious challenge because of personal rights, health rights, privacy, and other issues that the union is going to have to step in and battle for on behalf of the unionized employees, where those employees don't want to be mandated to by the government and in turn by the ownership. Many people have been working many years, even decades, for the same company. And now all of a sudden they're being told how to take care of their health. And I don't take a personal perspective on this other than to say, from a legal perspective, there are many challenges associated with this. And the unions are going to find themselves in the middle of a significant fight to protect those interests of those individuals who feel that they should not be imposed upon by the government or by ownership with respect to their own health situation and their own health privacy. Now, another issue that has arisen and is going to only get worse, apparently, is the aspect of inflation. Because of all the government financing that was undertaken to support people through the COVID-19 pandemic and beyond, where the government not only undertook to socialize the system that much more, but has continued to implement with its processes of having a more socialized system where there are greater and greater burdens upon the taxpayers and the taxpayers. So what we're going to find is taxes are going to go up, costs are going to go up, and government spending is going to continue to increase. Same time, essential goods, fuel, heating oil, insurance, property costs, property taxes are going to all rise well beyond what they would have been rising had it not been for the COVID-19 pandemic, and technically the powers or the ability that's been given to the government to spend that much more money, taxpayer money, never their own, taxpayers' money. So what we're going to be faced with is continuing inflation that sees no immediate pullback as to what's going to happen. In addition to the carbon taxes, this green economy approach, costs are just going to keep on going up. And employees, unionized employees, are going to bear the brunt of it. And from a union perspective, wages are going to have to be picked up because union employees, just like other employees, did not have their wages structured with consideration for an increase in inflation to levels that's looking like as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic and the subsequent actions of the government and the world in general that has created a heavy inflationary situation that is going to put extreme pressure to get those wages up. Now, finally, from the legal perspective, what we're seeing, and this is from our own perspective, is that there's going to be the challenge that's going to be imposed in the next years coming up, like in the immediate future, as to the failings with respect to payroll reporting. Now, for far too long, payroll reporting has gone unchecked and unchallenged. And up until recently, where we've undertaken a lot of this work, what we've seen is that employee pay has been structured not in accordance with the employment standards legislation of the relevant jurisdictions, being primarily the provinces, but also Canada Labour Code, but has been simplified, homogenized, and is in many cases using the lowest base level of payroll. Oftentimes it's Ontario payroll, but even worse than that, it is oftentimes based on an American system of payroll. And this is a product in part of the fact that there is an over-reliance on simplification and computerized payroll systems. So what has happened is payroll systems have gone away from being consistent with the legislation and instead being a very simplified process. What does this mean? It means that employees all too often are being underpaid with respect to various elements of a statutory nature. And it is because of that, and because of this growing trend that's going to be emerging in the next months, next year, we'll be seeing a lot of employees coming back and challenging their employers or their former employers with respect to outstanding wages and earnings obligations that were due to them, because those employers, unionized and non-unionized, were not following the specific employment standards legislation that governs the calculation of those payments. Now, where we've seen this in is not only in the litigation that we're undertaking, but also a significant review of collective agreements, because many collective agreements are publicly available, and as such, we're able to review them and see where the inconsistencies are. And these inconsistencies can be considerable. Depends on the province, depends on the company, depends on the type of work that's being done, and the associated wage components. But it's going to be another pressure that's going to be found. And it's going to be pressure, once again, placed on unions, because unions were largely responsible for protecting the interests of their unionized employees. However, for whatever reason, it would appear that all too many union representatives and the union lawyers did not adequately assess these aspects of wages and earnings of unionized employees. And now that they're coming to the fore, they have to be dealt with, because what we're typically looking at is earned money. It's not some speculative nature of money. It is money that's earned and that the unionized employees, like the non-unionized employees, are legally entitled to. And those payments need to be made. So what we're seeing across the board is a very challenging time for unions and unionized employees, because so much is coming to the fore, part of it due to the COVID-19 coronavirus pandemic, but part of it due to structural issues. And unionized employees are going to have to take ever greater consideration of their situation, because so much of it is protecting their future, protecting their earnings, their wages, and their well-being. And that's a perspective we have for the union as we move into the new year. Thank you.